Today's message from Reverend Christian Sorensen was recorded on December 10th, 2017, and it's titled, Coming Home to the Heart for the Holidays, affirming, I am in my heart for the holidays. Today we welcome back the talent and voice of Bashira, who can be found on our Facebook page from a link on this episode on joyouspodcast.com. And you can come visit us at our website, seasidecenter.org, and join us in Encinitas, California sometime, where we always have great music, a spirited message, and a joyful, loving, vibrant community that await you.
Good morning, Seaside. What is my honor to introduce our guest artist. We love when she's here from the stage to the TV screen to Seaside. We're so grateful when she's here, all the way down from Los Angeles. She's a phenomenal singer, just a beautiful spirit as well. If you're moved by her music, please see her after. She does have CDs with her today, so please help me welcome, without further ado, Bashira.
I'm taking Rebecca back to LA with me. How about that? All right. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Hey! Hey! Whoa, 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 yeah, yeah. Well, it's time to grow and spread my wings. The time is now. I can't wait any longer, and my journey's long, but I shall endure. Remember always what God put you here for, yeah, 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 yeah. Don't you forget God's dream. It's what we're meant to be. Don't you forget God's dream, even when I'm seen no longer. And I will look back across the skies, across the sea, and I'll smile in your direction, and know you're smiling back at me. And there's one more thing that you must know forevermore. Yeah, yeah. Remember always what God put you here for. Yeah, 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 yeah. Don't you forget God's dream. It's what we're meant to be. Don't you forget God's dream. Even when I'm seen no longer, can you give me some? Yeah, 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 yeah. Just a little more, yeah, 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 yeah. So just wipe your little eyes, baby, yeah, yeah. Let me tell you on this side right here. Don't you forget it, don't you cry. God's right beside you, so just wipe your little eyes. Oh, yeah. Gonna tell you right here, don't you forget it. I won't forget it, no, no, no. Don't you forget it. God's dream. Yeah. Don't you forget it. I won't forget it, no, no, no. Don't you forget it. Let me tell you one more time, yeah, yeah. Don't you forget it, yeah. Oh, it is God's dream. it's your dreams. Don't you forget it. No, no, no. No, no. Don't you forget it. I won't forget it. No, no, no. Don't you forget it. God's dream. God's dream.
And that is Bashira, woo, having us remember God's dream. Oh, what a great gift. Thank you, Bashira. Wow, how fun, how beautiful, what a great message. And you know what? This holiday season is all about those dreams, is all about that love, which is why at the beginning of this season, I like to take a moment to remind us that it is about the love, it is about the joy, it is about the heart, which is coming home to the heart for the holidays, right? Coming home to the heart means getting out of your head, because sometimes the holidays aren't always just filled with joy. There is like these insane schedules that some of us try to keep. There is excessive commercialism going on and consumerism that is happening. There are family dynamics that are less than joy-filled, even possible painful memories that come up. And what I want us to get is there's also the possibility in the season of the joy, of the love, the caring, the affection, the gifting, the giving, the excitement, the music, the light, the magic, the presence, and all these are there as a possibility for us. But we've got to recognize that if we are busy beyond normal stages, if we are caught up in expected excessiveness, it may just be the time to disrupt those patterns. Hello is right. I'm telling you right now, before they really get going in your life, that just grabs you out of the heart experience. I want you to return home to the heart for the holidays. And remember, it is about the joy. It is about the love. It is about that, the caring. It is about that. And when you make that your intention and you align with your intention, goodwill tends to follow. Now, it may look like you've got to maybe say no some of the times to the invitations. And if you do say yes to those parties, don't do it at the expense of saying no to yourself, to your heart, to your joy, and to your presence and your spirit. It's up to you to decide, hey, is this going to bring me joy? You're the one who gets to decide. It doesn't matter which Christmas or Hanukkah or Diwali or whatever holiday it is for you. You get to decide it wherever you are in your life. I read just this week, and I actually saw this video clip that's seen by 10 million people of this women's basketball team here in San Diego. And you may have seen it, 10 million people. It's a possibility local team. But it is a women's basketball team, and it's the only requirement to play for this team is you've got to be 80 years old. And there's one woman, Grace Larson, who's now 91, who said she never played in organized sports until she was 78 because that was never available to her in school. And so for them to lace up their basketball shoes and play, they've got to be 80. Now, it's said that most of the younger teams that are in their 60s and 70s beat them, but it's a senior league that is here in town. And so you get to decide, hey, am I too old, or am I going to give my power away to this dynamic, or am I going to say, you know what, I get to decide whether I'm going to come from my heart, or am I going to come from my head? Rosedale, I just love you here. I'm going to use about 10 more of you in the front row, man. You just keep it coming. This is a good thing. So, but anyway, I get that sometimes there's people during the season and in life in general that just annoy you. They just drive you crazy. And what I have found for me, what I do with that is I come to recognize, you know what? These people are just annoying, and that's just who they are. And if they're going to be in my life, I recognize they're crazy and they're annoying, and that's just the agreement we are in this relationship here. Oh, then there's others who like to control it all. And what I have discovered is what's important is to recognize they do it because they care. That's what I remind myself. Sometimes I say, you know what, this really isn't working for me. It hurts, but, I've got to fess up with it. And another thing that's important to be able to come from your heart is to give up trying to have everything perfect. Like the tree. You should see Trevor's tree. We got him this special living tree. Actually, it was left over from last year. I didn't tell him. But it's a living tree. And it looked like a wave. It was kind of growing for a year and wasn't trimmed. It wasn't really leaning. But the other night, it just fell. And so there went perfection that we had put on its tree, and now it is a very unique expression of spirit. It is a natural living tree. If we can give up things having to be perfect and be willing to come from the heart, we can begin to experience that spirit in a way that is gracious and good. But we got to work within our own consciousness, within our own mind. And it's kind of easy if the judgment's going on in my mind. But have you ever been the target of other people's judgment? It's like rapid fire. Da, 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 you did that. It's like, whoa. It's not necessarily as easy, but it helps for me to say, you know what? Whatever's going on out there is a reflection of what's going on in here. So they're projecting on me. I'm really a reflection of what's going on for them. And it helps me. But I found, if you've ever heard the dialogue, it doesn't really work to tell the other person that when they're firing on you. You say, I'm only being a reflection of what's not right or working inside of you. Yeah. And they come back and say, well, thank you, dumb part of me. Well, I've had enough, standing up in front of people and doing, there's a lot of judgment that's always coming my way. But I had 35 years of putting on events and banquets. That I've had my share. And I can remember this one we were doing at a hotel. It was a banquet. It was a free banquet. So who would complain, right? But... it was maybe 180 people, and I don't actually do the things, but I definitely am on top, making sure that looks good, decorations, music, food, ambiance, enough chair, all that stuff. And so the night of the event, it's all coming off, looking good, feeling good. Things seem. I go to table, hey, how's it going? How's it going? Nice, glad you're here. Everybody's just swamping me with all these wonderful praises, and I get to this one table in the corner, and I say, how's it going? Wrong question. Oh, they just take that as an invitation to download on me as to that they got stuck in the corner, and that they are in the corner, and that all of a sudden it is the worst table in the whole place, and that's where they're at. And the food, why did we choose this place? The food is terrible. The music is lousy. Why don't they play something which I could dance to? And on they went, and it was like, oh my goodness. It's like, it was a unique inquiry I gave them. And, I realized that, they were just sitting there among themselves, just escalating their sense of how terrible everything was. And that snarky part of me wanted to say, well, you could have got here sooner, you got a better table. And, the food, well, everybody else's plate was empty. It couldn't have been that bad. And take a look at the dance floor. It's pretty full. But no, I chose to breathe. I chose to hit that pause button for a moment. Come from the heart, Christian. And as soon as I took it off me and my egocentric sense of blame and judgment, and I just became more present, I began to recognize really what was going on is that they felt like they're missing something, that they weren't connecting, that they didn't belong, and it wasn't working. And as I began to, express and my sincere sorry for this, and surprisingly, I really was sorry, that they were having this experience in their life, began to open up a little bit more. I could see that the lady's eyes soften and say, the babysitter bailed on them just before they were getting ready to go. They had to find a new babysitter. And so by the time they got out, they were late. They got caught in the traffic. They got here, they ended up with this kind of table. And it's like all of a sudden I could feel their heart, but not until I was willing to recognize that this isn't about me. Now, if I had jumped in with those snarky remarks, it then would have been about me and about my position and my kind of stuff, trying to defend it. And so, I did good one time. But I share that with you, that all of a sudden, if you can remember, rather than to react and defend, but to hit that pause with your breath and to take it all in and say, hey, okay, what's going on here? What is it I need to know? How is it I need to be? Things can be different. really, I think about the fact that, we sing, or, the fact that we say that there is a highway to hell and there's only a stairway to heaven. What does that say about our expectations here in life? But it is about catching ourselves, and that's what this whole message is about, is to be able to come home to the heart for the holidays and come from that place, because when our consciousness changes, it's amazing how we become aware of how unconscious we have been. That I was putting the blame out there, that I was giving my power away, that I was reacting in life. And so as I become conscious, I begin to recognize that I don't have to stay there if where I'm at. And so there's this beautiful holiday story we have heard for years, The Grinch. And there's a scene in there, John Kerry, this is the movie version. And there's a beautiful song that's been redone by Faith Hill. And I just heard it, so you may have heard it before, but I want to read you a few of the words that come from it. And it says, the name of the song is "Where Are You, Christmas?" And so the Grinch is standing up on the hill, feeling very grinchy and nasty, and you know how he was. He said, "Where are you, Christmas? Why can't I find you? Why have you gone away? Where is the laughter you used to bring me? Why can't I hear the music play? My world is changing and I'm rearranging. Does that mean Christmas changes too? Where are you, Christmas? Do you remember the one you used to know? I'm not the same one. See what time has done? Is that why you have let me go?" And as he puts out where he really is in that moment, it becomes a portal of the greater possibility. And all of a sudden, in that moment, something begins to shift inside of him. And so what happened? Well, as we know, as they say down in Whoville, that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. Our heart can grow. Spirit can arrive when we can recognize that, we have been caught within our consciousness. And our consciousness has helped lead us, but it's the stages and the states of consciousness in which we live in, which are a reflection of the outside. As we're talking about dealing with judgment, when it's inside, it's easier than when it's outside. But when things are going on in our world, we can feel very grinchy because of what has happened, or those memories, or those pains, or what have you. But I want us to recognize that our heart can begin to open up for us to re-enter that. When we make it our intent, the good will follow that. The states of consciousness are from the inside out. And we came into this world, and we didn't really create our original states of consciousness, because we entered into the family, and the parents kind of guided us and directed us and gave us their consciousness, if you would. I mean, we had a propensity to a personality, but we kind of were given an upbringing with consciousness, and then a society, and we're living in this. And in the 2 Corinthians, it's chapter 16, verse 7, it says, "Come out beyond them." It says, "Come out beyond them. Come out beyond that consciousness. Come out beyond what has been your shell." It's time to break that shell, pop through that bubble, allow yourself to live your intention, your purpose, to live the infinity of your being, the eternality, the immortality of who you are beyond where you have been to this point, because who you are is so much more. And it's as you engage in this world, as you're willing to become that conduit in which you are giving of yourself to the world, you begin to play in the realm of the heart. You get out of the head and you get into the heart, and you begin to be that expression of spirit in this world. I love Seaside and our generosity and our life and our sharing. I'm looking at a half a dozen bikes in the back. It's going to the Community Resource Center. It's exciting. Last Sunday, we brought this wonderful woman, happens to be a refugee from Syria with her 2 children. Remember that? She shared the story that, she and her husband and 5 children. Her husband had a truck driving business with his dad. They were middle class, living comfortably in their place, school, kids going to school. Everything was good. And then the war broke out and they were displaced. They lost everything they had, as did everybody else, as the bombs dropped. They made it through the desert. They were given, safe place. They spent 8 months in refugee camps, and somehow they won the lottery. I would consider that. Ending up here in San Diego on the visas to reestablish their life. But, there was not enough necessarily to take care of things. And they shared their story. And Amina shared with her that she is selling baklava. And do you know that we bought, not that that's how much she had, but we raised for her through selling baklava. Or you guys generously gave over $1,800 to their family. And as a result of her greatest experience in a spiritual community in a financial way, the car van that their family had been saving for over a year, we put them over the top and they were able to purchase their van because of you guys. How good does that feel in your heart, in your soul, in your spirit? I mean, to hear that we've raised over $3,500 for the kids, 200 blankets and coats and bikes, and it's truly exciting what is going on here at Seaside. We're coming from the heart. We're being that place in which Spirit is expressing. As we allow it to move through you, it just feels good. It feels wonderful. It feels magical. It feels divine when we allow ourselves to be that place where Spirit is. But, it doesn't necessarily happen on our time. See, when you're living from the heart, you're able to be moved by Spirit in ways that move you, that are beyond just your thought on how it should be. There's a big difference in life and just making things happen on your time. Rainer Maria Rilke, the wonderful Bohemian poet of Austria, said that an artist does not reckon, does not count, they ripen. It's like you ripen. It happens on your time. There's a big difference between forcing and making things happen and letting it birth itself with the explosion of the possibilities and the life, the creativity, and the self-expression. It is like that. It's coming out when you're trying to make things happen and it's something you don't want to be doing. It's kind of like walking through a desert on stilts. With a time management evangelist in your head saying, hurry, hurry, hurry. It's the difference of the joy of creating, of singing, of writing, of expressing oneself in your products or your proposals or what it is that you are creating. It is when you can trust the timing of Spirit. An extraordinary life happens on divine timing, God's timing. And when you can learn to trust that, you're able to come from a sense of heart as opposed to being stuck in your head. I mean, who is to say how long healing is supposed to happen? Let's say a loved one has gone away. Some people come back and they get back engaged in life, and that becomes their place of growing and healing and living again. Others need to sit in the pain and the sorrow and the darkness and cry. And there's not a right one or a wrong one. What I want us to get is there's a difference between linear time and soul time. And when you're living from the heart, you get to make your intention. You know what, Spirit? I'm ready for the joy, the holidays, and the light to return. There's people in life who do a job that is not a soul passion, but it's emotionally safe. They know it's expected, the regular paycheck, and everything's solid. But there are others who find the creativity and the expression that the demands of their soul that becomes powerful, that calls them forth. It's like where the shaman meets the demon. It's like you infuse yourself in every aspect of the creation and the creativity that is there. Well, what I want us to know is that we have the potential to be able to be in that place and to be that place where Spirit is expressing itself in all things. And when you can trust, the Course in Miracles says that those who are aware that all turns out well can wait. And can wait without anxiety. Those who can trust that it'll all turn out, that's all going to come, can wait and can wait without anxiety. Can you wait without anxiety? It's like getting on the train. And I am sure I'm on the train, I'm good, I'm on the right track, and I'm heading in the right direction. It's beautiful. Maybe I'd like to get there sooner, but that's not really the option here. I'm heading the right place, right? This is good. I'm with my heart. I've got to trust the divine timing here. I'd like it now, please. But you know what? I'm not going to force the issue because that's the head. Trying to make it perfect. Trying to get everybody to do what it is I want them to do. Trying to have that tree not fall over and just be, it is Here you go. How about that cute hunk that never called you back? And then you found out later that the woman that he went out with, he stole all of her jewelry and ran over her flower bed as he fled the state. You know, it's like you don't know that in the moment. I want this, but as you begin to trust, you'll let things unfold in an appropriate way. Or that job that you forced your way into, it wasn't really meant to be, it wasn't right, but you knew it was right. You made it and you made it happen, and there you were. And it wasn't right. And then you needed to extract yourself from that with a therapist and a crane and a psychic and a shaman and a little ritual in the woods to free yourself from it. If we could just begin to trust our heart and our soul and the soul time of the unfoldment of these holidays, that I may not be in that right joyous spot yet, but you know what? My intention is I'm going to be the place for joy to the world to happen. And God, if you had forgotten me or Spirit or whatever, I am here. I am ready for that shift, for that Christmas, for that Hanukkah, for that something to take place inside of me. I am so available, Spirit. Use me. Use me, God. And what begins to happen is you desire to make that soul connection, that spirit. It's a state of consciousness that begins to change its vibration and its frequency, and it brings into your heart and your experience more than your mind could ever have conjured up. You begin to live with a sense of joy and well-being. You know, take a look at the great spiritual teachers that left us the scriptures. I mean, starting with probably the first written ones we got good from is Krishna and the Vedas and the Upanishads, which included the Bhagavad Gita. And then you had Lao Tzu, who left us the way of the Tao. And then you had Buddha, who took the Hindu teachings to the next step of showing us the path, the eightfold path that went with that. And then Shankara, that gave us the concept of not two, but one, the Atman, if you would. And then you had Nanak, who gave us the Sikh religion, or the Persians and Zoroaster, or the prophets and Judaism. I mean, Hanukkah starts on Tuesday night here. To be able to celebrate that, you got all the way up to Ernest Holmes and the new thought that I am able to be an expression of the divine and create my reality. And all these teachers who had that God experience, that divine experience, the light experience, the Christian experience, the Christ experience, there's Jesus. He showed us our heritage and to be able to live by grace. All these individuals pointed us to have the experience ourselves. They had this divine connection, said, you know what, this whole thing is about the birth of the light and the God experience within our heart and within our soul. And as we begin to say, yes, I am available. I may haven't had it up to this point, but you know what? My schedule has been insane. It has been crazy. I've been caught up in the commercialism and the excess consumerism. You know what? That's not me. Rumi said, we're all walking each other home. Well, Seaside is here to help us walk us home to our heart, to remember, what this is about is that our nation and a lot of the globe is singing with joy this time of year, and it is available to you, but you got to create the space. You got to disrupt those patterns and give yourself some self-care. Sometimes sit with the pictures of those that you love that aren't in your life. Let yourself cry. Let yourself feel. Let yourself get messy and ugly over your heart's expression so you can be in that place that is real, vulnerable, and filled with joy. It's going to show more of these pictures of the Community Resource Center. When I was talking about it, look at what we did here. Talk about joy. We have all of these individuals from Seaside and the bikes and the toys. That's what we get to do. Does that not feel good in your heart and your soul? Those are the kind of things that Seaside is doing. I heard a wonderful story. It didn't start off too wonderful. It was about a young man, Jonathan Rosier, and he graduated from Texas A&M in 2001. He got married and enlisted and went into the Army. He served when Iraq first started going off in that era. His platoon that he was leading he became a lieutenant, and he lined up tanks to protect his men from the enemy fire on the other side. He won a bronze Medal of Valor. But in 2003, there was a surprise attack, and his life was taken. And what he left behind was his wife, Jessica, and a 9-month-old son. And all the pain and the sadness that goes with that is, I can't even imagine. My heart goes out to someone who was willing to risk it all. Jessica was left not only with the pain, but the car that sat in the driveway waiting for his owner to come home and never came home. And she had the car payment of this convertible Toyota Celica. And she contacted Toyota, and they said, you know what, return it, we'll forfeit the loan, and we'll just call it good, to which she did. And she used that money for child care for her son, Justin. And fast forward 14 years, she's going through looking for a birth certificate, and she comes across Jonathan, her husband's registration for the vehicle. And her son's going to be turning, age of driving, and she thinks, gosh, wouldn't that be, cool? He never got to know his dad. If he could have his dad's car, and kind of far-fetched. But, maybe I'll just put it out on Facebook and see if, she thought it was probably going to take a long time. And so she put this ad up there, not ad, but she said, can someone please help me find this car? It's a 1999 Toyota Celica convertible. It was John's car, and Jonathan, he died in July, age 25. When he died, I wasn't thinking ahead to just when Justin, his son, would be driving 15 years later. If you Facebookers could work your magic and help me find it, it would be an amazing present for his 16th birthday if it hasn't become a tin can by now. Within a couple days, she got a call from a woman saying, I think my dad might have that car. I don't know if he wants to part with it, but here's his number you can call. And she was afraid if I call and it's not, or he doesn't, that's the end of the story. But she found the courage to give him a call. She called the guy. The guy said, I don't know. I like this car. Let me think about it. It wasn't an hour later he called back and said, you know what? I know your son would enjoy this car far more than I would. I would be happy, to get it to you. And so now Jessica, wow, I found the car. And there's this Soldiers of the Flag group in Utah. And she told them about it. They said, hey, let us help you. They created a GoFundMe group. And almost instantly, there were so many funds that they purchased the car. They tuned up the car. They got it all cleaned up and polished. They put gas in. They had money left over for Justin. And there he is, Justin with his... And I share that because I want us to know in this holiday season where the magic is and we're enticed to listen to our heart, that when you listen to your head and the head that says, oh, he's not going to give it, who would find it? Oh my goodness, it's been 15 years. This is ridiculous. And the stories go on and on and on. I want you to know that if you were to go home to the heart, particularly for the holidays, you can come to experience the magic and the wonder and the joy and the glory and the sense of family and the caring and the camaraderie and all the wonder that is created when you're choosing to live from the heart, as opposed to a judgmental mind that is making it about me, having to make it done, fix it, defend it, or what have you. And so for the holidays at the front end of this, whether it's Diwali, whether it is Hanukkah, whether it is Christmas, or whether it is a pagan Wicca experience, it is all about that light and that love and that spirit and that expression returning into your experience from the dread and the dark and the difficulty, the impossibility, and those things that happen when we do this thing called life. But the wonderful thing is you don't have to do it alone, because you have a family here, a spiritual community that is your tribe, it is your clan, that chooses to celebrate and love and sing together. I invite you to return home to your heart for the holidays at Seaside. God bless us as we do this together. Hey, let's keep it going as we bring Bashira back to our stage.
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's it. Anybody tell me why a child has no food? Can anybody say that there's nothing we can do when your heart and God's hands are so strong? Can anybody tell you that there isn't enough? His well overflows, but she can't fill her cup. But with your voice and with your love, this can change. So come on and sing. Take your heart in God's hands, and I know it can be the way, yeah. With your heart in God's hands, I know we can win. Can anybody say that we can live as one? See, the universe is ready for man's next evolution, where people are fed today with all needs met in every way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Take your heart in God's hands, and I know we can with me. With your heart in God's hands, yeah. See, I know we can win. Let me tell you now, wherever you are in the world today, know that someone is loving you. Know that someone is praying for you. Know that someone cares for you. No matter what it may look like, someone is by your side. Yeah, 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 yeah. Let me tell you right here, yeah. Wherever you are in the world today, know that someone is loving you. Know that someone is praying for you. Know that someone cares for you. No matter what it may look like, someone is by your side. Yeah, yeah, sing with me one more time. Take your heart in God's hands, and I know we can lead the way, yeah. With your heart in God's hands, yeah. See, I know we can win. Let me tell you. Just take your heart in God's hands. Take your heart. Come come with me. Take your heart in God's hands. We can win. Just take your heart in God's hand. Take your heart, come with me. Take your heart in God's hands. We can win. Yeah, 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 Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
that
you.
is Brashira. Woo! My goodness, there could not have been.